welcome to episode 2 of Deadlock Vents, a podcast all about Deadlock, the game, but by Valve. We had a great time last time. Conor, you're here, I'm transparent, or Charlie, whichever one you want to call me. I guess the people of the ether.
I think I'm just called Conor, aren't I? We didn't really decide if I was going to have an internet name. I think I'm just called Conor. How have you been since we last did this? I mean, you disappeared on an adventure, so you've only played a little bit of Deadlock.
Yeah, I was on holiday a little bit, but I was checking in on the patches on my phone so often while I was away. You've been playing a lot. I came back, binged it for a weekend, trying to sort of catch up a little bit. And of course, there has been a few changes. There has been things. And of course, we did have the news that we will have no more patches now before Christmas, or no major patch. There's no big patch coming before Christmas, before the new year, which is sad news, but it's also, nice to know, right? Because everyone was really hungry for what could be coming in this patch, right?
I'm definitely excited for... I don't know if we want to do spoilers for people, because I think they're...
Yeah, I think spoiler free.
Yeah, so I was excited, at least for the new characters. I'll say that. That's the most I'll say on it. I think the thing I'm personally the most excited about is a lot of the art to get finished. I'm a big visual eater. I don't know the term. I love a good visualization in a game. And I bloody hate those patrons right now. I can't stand them. I think they look terrible. They're clearly upside down chess pieces with a face stuck on. And so I'm very excited for that in particular. I think that's going to be so much. Never
noticed that.
I'm pretty sure they're pawns, aren't they? Aren't they pawns upside down?
I don't know. Aren't they just big blobs? Aren't they just big spheres?
No,
I don't even know.
They're like spheres stuck on top. Because all of this is going to be like Gmod reused.
Yeah, they're all
models.
Assets that they've got somewhere.
I'm pretty sure it's just a chess piece that they've got an asset of, and that was in some game that they've used before, and it's upside down. It looks so much like a bishop or a pawn or something.
So I've never really sort of delved into the past of Deadlock stuff, but the old icons were sort of just asset pack icons, and you could find them in places.
Oh, you're talking about the hero abilities and the item stuff, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely true, and I think you're absolutely right. We did have a little bit of a lick of one of the patron sides. They sort of polished that up to be a little bit more of a museum side, but we still have that. And I always wondered whether that's because they've got potentially more changes to come in that final area. We have the shrines, we have obviously the descending patron comes down. There's a little bit of a pace there that sort of has this 10-second cooldown or whatever. And there's always a thought of they might want to tweak that a bit more, which I think is why they're leaving the art till last there. But there's lots of places around there that is getting that polish, and it's so nice when you get that additional level of visual polish. I do agree with that. So I am excited to see what could come. Of course, gonna be a little bit of a longer wait.
I'm okay with an extra couple of weeks. It gives me more time to sit and play with this patch, I think, a little bit more. I decided to boot up while we were having this conversation and have a little look at the map, because obviously, it is one of the exciting things that's going to come. I forgot how much of a difference it made when they did the art update. It looks
and even like the lighting, right?
The lighting, it feels so much more like New York. I think we've both been to New York, haven't we? Have you been to New York?
No, I haven't been to actually in New York. I've just passed through it.
It's very... what's the best way of describing it? At least when I went, it had very much more those old yellow lights that you don't really see much in London anymore. Like LED lights have taken over everything. So they've done such a fantastic job with making it feel like New York. It's so... It's got such
that slightly griminess to it.
Yeah, it's always a little bit grubby. Clean. The buildings all have that sort of crenellation details that you kind of don't get in new modern cities that sort of London and New York and Paris and things have, that they just don't add to new buildings anymore. And it's just, I'm walking around it now and it's just fabulous. Like I'm in what is, I think, meant to be the garment center, right? And it's currently got like shelves and things, and obviously assets are going to go in here and make this all look nice and pretty. But it's amazing how much better this looks than I remember it being just a grey box. And it adds so much atmosphere to this game in general.
I was in love with the game even when it was a grey box. But every little bit of detail just means it feels like it's got that extra selling point to try and convince someone else to come play the game. And I think that's the nice thing about it, especially when you know that the visual polish is coming and it's going to be so polished. I mean, some of these things though, you were getting caught on a lot of the geometry in some places.
Yeah, this is because I'm bad though. This is not because so normally in games, and this is an old game thing. This is like, I guess it used to happen in things like Halo, but like you used to round off your edges on buildings. Like it used to have a smooth edge, and I don't know if that's because there just weren't enough polygons or whatever. But there is a particular lamppost that everyone must know about that's on Blue Lane. There's a couple actually. I think that lamppost has probably killed more players than anything else. The amount of times that I run backwards into that, and I'm like, why am I not running back? And then I die, is so often. And it's just on the corner, and so it adds a little lip. And I don't know if that's deliberate on their part. I'm wondering if Yoshi might be a sadist or something like that. But it kills me once a week, if not more. I find I get caught on the corners of buildings a lot more than in other games, just because I'm wondering if this rounded edge quality hasn't been put in. There's, in the industrial lane, which I believe is yellow, the bridge there has little supports, whereas the other bridge I don't believe does. I could be wrong. People are now going to fact check me and go to the lane and send us little like screenshots. Yeah. but they've got little like lips on above. And there's so often I will jump backwards and hit my character's head on that little lip, and then I will die because I didn't get to go around the corner.
I think it certainly is a tough thing, right? Like when you've got these, the edges that you think that you're sliding away, and movement is so important at Deadlock, and it's just stopping you from having that little bit of freedom of movement.
I do like these little additions. I think it adds a lot in terms of it feels real, right? You can't remove those little things and it not feel real. I went over to Green Lane to check if I was right. Yeah, there is no support there. So I die more on one lane than the other, and I would be interested to look at my KD and see how true that is. But yeah, I think those are kind of the only real things that trip me up on a regular basis. It's just like corners and things. You're much better at the movement than I am. It's like one of your real skills with this game. You've like mastered all the what do people call like the movement things?
The mantling, the dashing,
the movement tech, isn't it? Movement tech.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm nowhere near like the top level where you get people who are just boosting across the map on a single sprint, it feels like. But yeah, I think it's one of the biggest skill curves of Deadlock that shows you where you are. I'm a pretty good shot. So the fact that I feel so outgunned a lot of the time as a result of someone being able to like run around and just completely outpace me is a really odd feeling. I don't really have that very often. The movement in this game just feels so alien, but kind of in a good way. I do really like it. And so I am excited for all this new art. I really hope one of the things that happens with the patrons in the bases is there's a little bit more of a complex kind of movement-based thing. The little windows, everyone like will shoot outside of them and stuff like that. And there's little platforms that kind of look like towers and things, and the little walkways. I would love more. I would like little places to like run and hide in or ambush in. I think there could, maybe there isn't any for balance reasons, but sort of similar to the spawn room, the little vent. What do they call the shrouds to cover people? Do you know? There's
Cosmic Veil. There you go.
Cosmic Veils. Wow.
Cosmic Veils. But like some of those for the defenders to hide in and ambush, maybe.
I think, I mean, obviously there's like the side doors that a lot of people don't use a lot of the time for the right next to the shrines.
The little vent things. Room. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Which are sort of styled on one side. But I think on the other side of things, you do have where the guardians sit, right? And those have little rooms inside of them. And they obviously haven't had any visual polish. And I think that's part of what you're saying there is, there could be a little bit more there. I think there used to be called cupboards or little, what were they called? Cubbies? Yeah, they used to be cubbies. I think there were a couple of them a while back when maybe it was 4 lanes. Gosh, it's going back a long way now. Never really thought about it too much. But yeah, I think the problem with that is, of course, you've got to make sure that you're not giving an advantage to any sort of attackers either, because there's been times where we fended off people from the patron, but the patrons have got a sliver of bit of health there. And what if an attacker was hiding in there and going, right, I'm going to wait as long as I can, and then pop out and take that attack?
That's actually very fair. I hadn't thought about that. It would make it much worse to try and make a comeback for sure, which is not something that you want. Like if someone manages to get a team wipe other than one person, you definitely want to give that team a chance. So yeah, maybe you're right.
I think it is good that the finale of a match has a lot of clarity around it. I think that's sort of a good thing, because obviously you get the picks. You know, we've all been caught out by a Moe and Krill just appearing out of nowhere in the middle of the map, but in your base should often feel like a safe space, and you know it should feel clear of what's happening in the grand strategy of your team.
I often don't feel safe in my base.
I think that is just a general game problem though, right?
Yeah, the patron hits like a wimp. I don't know what it is. There's something about the way that they do structures in this game. Structures, I don't know if it's the right word. Objectives, however you want to call them. The Guardians, the Walkers, that sort of thing. They all hit you like a wet noodle.
Well, they used to, right? They used to. Walkers now have a lot of damage over time that amps up, and if you stand in it for a long time, you will, have to back off. And I've had to back off a few times just because I've been complacent in this new patch. And I do think that is something that is definitely missing from the end of the game, from the patrons. I think you are right there. And it might be that they go towards that a little bit now. Obviously, with these new walkers, with that being tested out a little bit, having a bit of response around having a smaller stomp area. We talked about this last time, but with the bigger fire area, it does feel like they're more deadly, but not quite as controlling, I suppose, is the way.
Do you know the other bit that gets me? And it's a flavor thing, and I know we're in early access, and so it's like, flavor doesn't matter so much yet. There's a strong patron and there's a weak patron. Why does the strong patron just fire a laser, like a fire laser? Like give me something like interesting. He's the same as the dudes that he put around the map that suck. Like, come on, do something.
Is one of them stronger than the other? Are they not just sort of equal god entities, I thought?
Oh, what, the patrons themselves? No, I mean in terms of the modes, because obviously when it goes into the weakened state and it's in the ground, it shoots electric at you in an AoE. I think it does more damage because it's hitting multiple people, not because it's necessarily better. It just feels like an odd choice that the Guardians and the patron have the same animation, but I guess that'll be an art update in itself.
It definitely does feel like it doesn't defend itself, right? That's the big thing with the patron.
And that's one of the things that we were Heroes of the Storm players, and actually I played Dota back in the day too. The core and things do defend itself up to a certain point, and then obviously once you get to a certain level, they don't anymore. I think HOTS, for those who don't play it or know what HOTS means, it's Heroes of the Storm. So it's Blizzard's MOBA that didn't do particularly well, but we love it. That core is, I think, the hardest to kill in any of these kinds of games. Yeah, I would say.
So they added Here's the Storm halfway through development, added sort of protection mechanics, different for different maps. But yeah, there were some that were rooted, some that just did pure damage, some that sort of pushed away. Added an extra element to the defense. I'm not sure what League and Dota do actually at all. Obviously, I've not kept up with those for a long, long time.
League and Dota sort of have levels to it. So you have like different levels to your base, and you got buildings that once you kill them, they upgrade your minions or your troops or whatever you want to call them. But they themselves don't have any necessarily defensive property. I can't remember if it's League or it's Dota. We should probably research these things before we start a podcast and talk about them.
Probably.
I believe it's League. Has also 2 towers that defend on the core, and the core also hits, but maybe Dota is the same. I would like something like that. I would like at least the HOTS aspect of the cores doing their own thing. The fact that you've got 2 different patrons. One of them's the Amber. What is it? The Amber something? The Sapphire Flame. I remember that one. What was the Amber one? Amber Hand?
Amber Hand, yeah, you got it.
So, I mean, having like a big ghostly ethereal hand that swats people and does like AoE damage, and then the other one drops like meteors or something, could be like a fun little way of making that have a flavor difference. But
you gotta make them equal though for gameplay reasons.
oh,
But I do think they should do something more
with different art. You know, like like the size could be the same or the way they deal damage or whatever, but they could just have like different animations. I will say that I don't. As the art currently stands, the sides of the map are not the same.
No.
Which is not. Which is the same in like League and Dota. They're not symmetrical.
No, and equally, obviously TF2, where it comes from, a lot of this sort of similar style. Obviously, being Valve game. That there was sort of blue was in TF2. Blue was the industrial side. Red was like the farm yard wooden side of things. And so there was always sort of difference in art and then slight differences in gameplay. I mean, you'll have that with the outside camps on the yellow lane or the blue lane, which the outside lane. There's one of them that's sort of arranged in a little. I was going to say a triangle. They're both triangles. There's three creeps.
I know what you're talking about. One of them is a little bit further away on the industrial side, I think. Yeah.
One's in like a line, whereas the other side, which has the art update, is in much more of a close-knit triangle. So there are going to be differences like that, which it's not game-breaking, I suppose. I don't think anyone's going to be complaining too much about those. But it does mean that some heroes find it harder to clear some of those creeps.
There's a difference between one of the underground. Actually, is it the only underground camp? I'm saying one of us if there's more than one.
Yeah,
there's only one
that
underground
one as
camp.
well.
But that particular camp, I've noticed, depending on which side of the map I'm on, is considerably worse for certain characters. There are characters that can do an AoE that fills that whole room on the one side, whereas on the other it just doesn't. And I think that is unfortunate. I don't know how much of an impact that has, but
yeah, it might be that they change the other side to match because the side that hasn't changed hasn't had the art.
That's true.
Yet, right?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I know that the sides of the lanes have a difference. Like the church side has an advantage, I believe. I don't know how much of an advantage the sides of the map have and how much the art has made a difference. I'd be curious to see those win rates, but I don't know if that's actually been recorded anywhere. The other change also with the patch that I am very excited about is the camp change, which I believe is meant to be this patch, right?
Yeah. We have had that. We have had. What? As in, like they're updating the camps?
Are they? Am I making this up? I might be just making this up completely.
Well, it's one of those things of the leaks and whether they're true or not.
The leaks are true or not. I really am. I think that's the change that, for me, will make this game considerably better. I'm so looking forward to that extra add-on. At the moment, I find the camps very lackluster, especially with like the XP changes and things. So,
yeah, I mean they are just goobers at the moment.
Yes, the goobers,
and they do just sort of shoot at you. I wonder if we'll ever get one that, where I wonder if they'll change them at all to where two of them will just shoot at you, but one of them will try and debuff you. So there's like a thought of like, I've got to focus that. I've got to focus the big one so that I, can take out the little ones easily, or I can just take out the little ones right now because that's all I've got time for. So that might be an interesting change. I think that, where there's one big one and two medium ones, that might be something where they can change it up a little bit, but they still want it to be good readability, right? You still want to have it so that a medium one is always worth that. And so if you have multiple different medium ones that do different abilities, maybe that's going to make it too confusing in an already complex game. Or maybe it's just fun. Maybe that'd be a good thing. Maybe I'll pop that on the forums now. Who knows?
How do you feel about the idea of sort of buffs in a way that exists, not necessarily in HOTS, but in Dota and... I guess actually not really Dota so much either, but League. Have you played much League?
No.
So,
I only played ARAM in League.
In League, there's a bunch of different bosses that will spawn. I think currently they're dragons, but there's also mana turtle and a health turtle, or mana creep and a health creep, and one of them's red and one of them's blue. And they will give you buffs. Whoever kills them, whoever's the person who last hits them. How do you feel about the concept of that being in Deadlock? Do you think that has a place?
I mean, we already have it, right? With golden statues, with the bridge buffs. Obviously, boss used to give buffs, no longer anymore. So I do wonder. Yeah, I mean, they removed it with boss. I think it is just golden statues and the bridge buffs, right? I think that's their equivalent.
That's it,
yeah. I think that's where they'll sit with that. Whether they'll change that at all, yeah, it's exciting to know. It's exciting to see.
I think I would really like that, actually. The more I'm thinking about it now, I think it would add an extra draft element, which obviously we haven't had yet, and I think this is also meant to be in this new patch. We're talking too much about this new patch for people who don't want spoilers.
It hasn't happened yet. We'll talk about it once it comes out as well. Don't worry.
But I'm so excited for a potential draft mode. We can actually bring that on to how we feel about this current patch. You're loving it. You're having a great time, right?
Yeah, but that's, I think, simply because I feel like I'm getting punished for my mistakes, which I think is always a good sign of a good patch. I think in the previous patches where we know new things have just come out, gun meta was really big, felt like I was getting punished more just for like small things, I guess, not rather than sort of big mistakes. I guess that's what it meant. Felt like, I was getting punished outside of my safe area, whereas now I feel like, inside my safe area, I was getting punished when I was just existing. Whereas now I do feel like, okay, I made this mistake. I've gone this far. This is my mistake. The one thing I haven't got used to, even from playing a few games now, is the slow when being shot, which equally gives more punishing early game, for sure. But yeah, I am enjoying this patch. You, on the other hand, not so much.
I'm having a particular problem with, and this I think is my rank. So at the beginning of when we recorded last time, I'd ranked all the way down to green, which I still don't remember the name of. I have actually managed to rank back up to emissary. So I think I went on a 12 or 15 win streak or something with Calico. Like, I did really well for a little while, and I am now back in red, in emissary. I'm enjoying playing Calico. I have a thing to admit from last time. I said that I thought her cat was useless. The more I've played her, I actually think I enjoy the cat more than I wanted to admit.
It's just useless early game. It doesn't do anything early game.
Oh my god, it feels so good when you deal with your team's bad macro. It's an orgasmic feeling when you have that off cooldown and you're like, yes, I just saved a walker because my team is just terrible.
Yeah. I mean, we were going to talk about movement later on, but this is the whole thing with Calico's cat. It just puts a nice little band-aid on a team's bad mistakes. When your whole team's rotated to you and you go, oh, guys, I'll just go get that wave. I'll go stop that Infernus from getting a free walker.
It's so good. And her dueling power, the fact that she can 1v1 pretty much everyone means that she's always a threat and people can't push too hard. Yeah, I completely changed my opinion on that. In terms of, how this patch feels, I would say I personally am starting to see the problem that is Victor. This is also because I think my rank plays a part in this. I am starting to realize that I think there is fundamental issues with this kit that are always going to be a problem in this game. And I can see them always being a problem in this game. I think that Resurrect is unbelievably powerful. For pretty much all of Warcraft 3's history, which is where, all of these things are inspired from, Tauren Chieftain has been one of the best characters to exist. And the reason for it is because he respawns with full health and full mana, and he has massive AoE abilities that do lots of damage. Very similar to a boy that we happen to have in this game. And he's very tanky as well, which is one of the other reasons that he's fantastic, and he has CC. Now, Victor doesn't have CC necessarily attached to anything other than his ult, but it's a very big area, especially if you get the radius, which I think pretty much all builds take.
He's a radius monster, right? Because he's got his aura generally. Obviously, he doesn't get it on anything else, but it's the aura generally that he uses Infuser a lot of the time just to try and keep healing and be in the middle of the team fight.
I think my biggest problem that I've got with him, and I've seen this a lot on Reddit, and I've seen people talk about it, it's if he reaches a high enough number, he's won the game. There isn't a way of dealing with him necessarily. It takes the whole team to deal with him. I think one of the biggest problems is to do with that, and this might be more of an item issue than his kit being a problem, is his ability to cleanse debuffs means that only one anti-heal item is good against him, which is Healbane. We had a little test of this, didn't we?
We did. We had a fun late last night. We were like, well, what can we do against Victor? And Healbane is the only thing that can be instantly reapplied. And it's max value.
And it feels horrible. That feels terrible that there is a character whose entire kit is based off healing and dealing damage to you slowly over a period of time and you just dying. And the main answer is an item that's 1600 and you get at the beginning of the game, but it isn't actually that great of a counter item because it's only 30%.
I wonder if they'll change it at some point. If Victor, because I think the thing with Victor is he's a sort of very much a low rank, mid rank pub stomper. At high ranks, I'm pretty sure they don't have to worry about him because there's a lot of different spacing. He's one of those heroes that's very grounded, very much stuck on the ground. And the more you get in the ranks, the higher the gameplay is in terms of leaping around, mobility, and they're able to keep their space. I wonder if at a lower level, they'll make it so that he can't remove item debuffs on his ability. He can only remove debuffs applied by other heroes. I wonder if that's a thing.
So I will say, I would consider Oracle and above to be the would you say top ranks? Or are we talking about only Eternus? I think
Ascendant Eternus.
Ascendant Eternus, yeah. Let's have a little look and let's see how he's doing. So on Ascendant Eternus, he is the 5th best hero at the moment.
Ooh, wowie.
So
of course this is according to
this is StatLocker, which is not perfect information. The people who are more likely to upload, I imagine, are people who are carrying, and so I think that puts certain characters more likely to appear. But for the top 5, for people who are interested, the 5 S tier heroes at the moment are Dynamo, 7, Wraith, McGinnis, and Victor, according to win rates. Some people aren't interested in win rates because they're like that's not how that all works.
And obviously that's Ascendant to Eternus.
That is Ascendant to Eternus. For this particular case, Victor has 9,500 matches, which is a decent enough sample size that I would say that I think he probably is a symptom of a problem that will be a long-term problem. I think the buffs that made to Dynamo probably made him too strong, but I don't mind that because it's nice for him to have his time in the sun. 7, like the roach and rat he is, has somehow crawled out of the apocalyptic wasteland and is apparently good again. I don't think that 7 will ever be bad as long as his kit is what it is, and I think he will always find some sort of way to come back. At least we're talking about queuing on ladder. I imagine if there is a draft mode in the future, which it may be coming, I've got a feeling some of these characters will be less prominent, and I think things like Pocket might appear a bit more again, because I think Pocket he's one of those characters that just deals with a lot of things in a really good way late game.
And I mean, this is the thing, right? Like the high level games, they're much shorter. So it's sort of expected that some of these heroes that want big items, a load of big items, are gonna do worse. But we're seeing, Victor, 7, who both would like some really major 6.4k items. Ethereal Shift is still picked up by Victor. It's still a great item for him. Another cleanse of things that keeps him alive a lot longer. Those expensive items, but should the game get even faster at the lower levels? That's a hard thing to make happen.
How do you feel about the length of games now? Because I will say, I've not had a game. We had a game together, actually, in fact, where for the first time I'd seen the large minions. I think since that was implemented, and I was like, oh my God, there's a bug. Why are the minions so big? And then someone in chat went, oh, no, that happens now if it's over 45 minutes. And I think, I don't think it was quite 45 minutes, but it's the first time I've seen it.
Or at least noticed it, I suppose.
It was quite notable to me. They took a lot longer to kill minions, for sure.
Yeah. Looking at StatLocker, almost all my games on the new patch have been almost exactly 35 minutes, which I'm guessing is their goal. I'm guessing their goal is 35 minutes. They're going, this has gone thing. That one where we had was 42 minutes.
42 minutes, so it must be 40 minutes. But yeah, it really gave me a moment. I was like, what on earth is going on?
But before then, sort of arranged. I had a few 25s. These are mainly losses, FYI. A few 25s, few sub 30s. And I guess, it's interesting to see there's less sub 30s. It might be because I'm deranking, so I'm becoming better at battling away the enemy for a longer time.
I've noticed there's less short games now because the whole meta of someone just running away and being AFK and soaking to 50k just isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, and of course, the third Walker's much harder to take down right now.
I will say the Walker change with the health that they made mid patch, where they are now tankier with each version you kill. Best change. To me is such a good change. It actually feels like we can get a Walker now. The item slots have gone. Like the issue that we were having with those, I love it so much. That needs to stay. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like each slot is more valuable. I suppose now, which I think we were talking about in the last thing, it sort of felt very weird. The game sort of, this whole thing of you don't get anything for taking down the Guardians. As I say, I don't feel that as much now because there is that target of still getting that first Walker does feel valuable. Second, not so much. Third, you're like, it's a bit of a slog almost sometimes to take down a third Walker.
Yeah, I will agree about the third. But it feels much more. One of the issues we were having before that change as well is it seemed like our teams are a little bit lost. Yeah. More in what their aim was, because all these things were gargantuan and difficult to take down. And now it's like, okay, once we got one, it's considerably easier to know where we're going. And I'm noticing more cohesion, which is fantastic. I think that's a really nice change, at least to the mentality of how people play. There's more hope now. I'm getting less people. Actually, in fact, now that I think about it, since this patch has started, I'm not getting anyone going, let's just give up, everyone AFK, the game's over. So in terms of mentality, I might be the person when we're duo queuing and experiencing that. I'm like, this game's fucking over. Why are we bothering?
I think you and I both are relatively quite positive when playing the game, at least.
Yes.
I think we've got some friends who aren't.
Neither of us are particularly easy at giving up, I think, because we come from playing HOTS, which is a game which fantastically in its design you can always come back in. HOTS is brilliant for that. I don't feel Deadlock is quite as good at that.
No, I think you do still have problem characters like Victor, where in the past, even like sort of a Yamato's taking off, you can go, right, I'm going to get Curse. We're going to try and shut it down before they get their ulti off. Maybe try and do something like that. Victor, it feels like, what do I buy? Anti-heal, maybe, but still nothing's really happening. How do I control this man? It's tricky. And I think that's sort of the difference right now, isn't it? It's sort of like, there's definitely certain ways of shutting down individual heroes who are taking off, and people might go, GG, this person's fed. But sometimes like, no, it's still okay. We can still work this out.
And that is the nice thing about the slot changes is I am now using counter items considerably more. My teammates, not so much, but I am at least, you would often pick up Curse because you would notice that I would never pick up Curse. I have at least in the last couple of weeks taken Curse. I have occasionally taken Silence Wave. I will admit most of the time I am still taking damage items because I am dumb monkey who doesn't want more buttons to press. And it's too many things to think about. But I am more inclined now, and I'm noticing considerably more focus lens, which is a problem item that we spoke about last time. I'm seeing
get nerfed again.
Yeah, I think it's still going to be picked. I think I'm starting to realize that I think this flexibility in item slots makes certain items which before had a weakness too good. And I think one of Focus Lens's issues before was you were picking that over damage because you didn't have enough slots. But because you have enough slots all the time now, Focus Lens becomes a very easy pickup and you're not really trading off anything. We've all experienced that Haze, who all she's doing is running around and taking picks and focus lensing, coming out of invis, like sleep knifing and killing someone. And then I remember we spoke about this once after a game. We were like, yeah, that Haze is 17 kills. It's amazing that they lost. And it would happen so often. We would have that exact same conversation that all this Haze would run around and do is kill people with focus lens. And then when a team fight came, obviously that focus lens is considerably less useful because she's got nothing to do to the other 90% of the team.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the pickoffs can work, of course, late game if you can get them, but you then have to capitalize on everything else, right? Pickoffs is definitely a good way to get back into the game, but it's less effective in this game compared to other MOBAs because you've got 6 people, and so you're only taking out 1/6 rather than 1/5 of the enemy team.
That's very true. Yeah, I very often I will see a team fight where 5 people beat 6 people. Surprisingly often.
Definitely does happen. Didn't happen in my game last night.
No, it didn't.
Unfortunately.
you did die with Ern, and with the rest of us got punished for it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Pocket who died and we fought without him? I think that's what happened, wasn't it?
There's all sorts of going on. I think that's one of the best things about Deadlock is having these 6 people. Just gives a little bit of extra cushion. And overall, I think one thing I've been taking less actually is debuff remover, which used to be such a staple. And it is useful still against people with the focus lens, but because focus lens isn't as prevalent, it's still prevalent a little bit. I'm not feeling like, I must take this now. Infernus being nerfed as well. Don't feel like I have to always be taking it. And I think that is a really good thing to see. It feels healthy. The debuff remover is now a choice rather than a must take 90% of games.
I will say I've had a different experience, but I am playing Calico and jumping in people's faces.
I'm playing less Calico, so maybe that's...
Yeah, I'm actually taking debuff removal more than I've ever taken it, I would say. But I am getting silenced and silence waved and cursed and things a lot. I feel... Should we talk about the elephant in the room in terms of the last sort of maybe balance thing that I want to talk about, which is how do you feel about the stats change? Now that we've had an extra week, how do you feel about the stats change?
So I think they've only just sort of sunk into me. I was following some builds and I was thinking, why are they building this? And I was like, it's the 4.8k mark. 4.8k mark. I'm not really noticing it. I'm starting to prioritize it a little bit only just now, thinking, okay, I'm losing this lane a little bit. I want to make sure I'm trying to get 4.8 maybe in Vitality a bit sooner. Just have a little bit more tankiness instantaneously. And there was a game I was winning quite well. So I was like, right, I want to have more gun. The other thing. And I think it is a good choice because at the end of the day, everyone is ending the game with all the stats anyway. Like there are a few people. I saw a gun pocket last night, for example, who took nothing.
That was the best thing I've seen. The fact that he was doing like 2k damage per mag and then dying every single time was just fabulous to watch.
Instantaneous death after unleashing one whole gun.
For anyone who's wondering, he had, I think it was 11 orange items, and the only green item he had was bullet lifesteal, and he was not living very long, no.
Yeah. So, there's stuff like that where they're not being spread out, and I think this was to encourage that, but otherwise, everyone else is spreading out. So it is just that early game, mid game decision, which is good to acknowledge, and I think that is a good thing. It's just about visible, obviously, when you can see it and obviously know about it. It's one of those things that game visibility in Deadlock is always going to be really low. One of my pet peeves about the buffs, bridge buffs especially. But yeah, I think in terms of these buffs, it's fine. You can see it enough. You can
just to touch on that quickly. Do you mean opponents highlighting that they have a bridge buff?
Yeah.
Is that what you if they had a little marker at the top of their heads at the top of the map, or
even just a glow around the base of their hero or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually haven't really thought about it until recently. I so want that. Because as well, there are times when someone will grab a bridge buff before I even get a chance to look at what it is because I was busy in a fight. And so I now have an opponent with a bridge buff that I didn't even see which one they grabbed. So I don't know how I need to play around them.
I think that's actually the bigger issue because I think people having them and you not knowing if they have them is almost like a tactical thing, right? And maybe, maybe that should be a thing. But on the flip side, I think that it's better to have an informed decision and knowing those things. And especially, as you say, knowing what sort of buff it is good. And it doesn't have to be when, one of those things that in Heroes of the Storm a long time ago, I think was, you didn't know if a camp was taken or not a camp was taken. I don't know. There were things where, you didn't know if a hero had something until you saw them on the map. And I think this was very briefly. I can't even remember what it was, but I think it would be nice that.
Are you talking about maybe don't? I think I remember this. This is to do with the gems on Tomb of the Spider Queen or something like that. Is that what you mean?
Something. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I would like it so that on Deadlock, when you see someone, then you can know what buff they've got rather than.
So you'd like it to be visibly on the character, not as a strategical overview in the same way that a boss marker is.
I think that would be acceptable, just because you don't have the information straight away, and there's a little bit of a strategic advantage. But once it's apparent to you, it's then clear. Like, okay, I've seen you face to face. I know what you've got.
Should it be like a fog of war thing that once you've seen it, you get the information permanently?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I think I like the idea of the change. Yeah. I think as well, there is too much in this game that makes it difficult for new people to learn. So having something somewhere that someone can hover over and go, oh, that's what that means, would make a big difference. Because until you take a bridge buff, you've got no idea what they do. It's not like I can hover over the map and see what they do. They don't do anything. So I have to physically run over. I have to take it. I have to read also as well. It says heavy melee to claim power up. I then have to do it. Then I get random fucking numbers that appear on my screen that I've got no idea what they mean or why they're there. Like, why am I randomly getting 20% cooldown? Why am I getting 60 spirit power? What does this mean, and what's the reason? I think I know that tutorials are coming, and I know that these are things that will be explained later on. I think it would be so easy to just put a little code in to put that to appear on the map.
I think there are some tutorials. I can't remember if they have that or not.
It's been years. I don't think it's actually been years, but it feels like years.
1 year.
It's been 1 year.
Yeah. I do agree, though.
I miss 4 lanes. I think about it sometimes. I'm like, oh, it was so much better years ago when there were 4 lanes, and it was like 6 months ago.
As much as I want to keep this podcast in the present, there is an element of it of like, I liked being in solo lane and having like almost a game of chess for 7 minutes, where it was like, okay, I'm gonna try and strategically place where I am in my positioning to try and pressure the enemy while I'm denying their orbs, claiming mine. There was a real level of deep thought, but unfortunately, 2 lanes, you still get a little bit of that. There's still a little bit of positioning, but sometimes you can't quite have the full focus on completely outmatching that one opponent.
Have you experienced? So this is one of the interesting things about this current meta that I have experienced, which I don't know if you quite got the time to. Have you had a 3-man lane yet? Have you seen this? So I've only had it for like 2 or 3 games. I think I've had it for 3 games, and they lost 2 but won 1. And in the game that they won, it was a stomp. It wasn't even close. So it was an interesting tactical thing to see. We had the game where they won. What happened was Bebop was meant to be on green lane, and he went blue, and so 3 people pushed blue. And they absolutely annihilated it and had the walker within like 3 minutes. And I think it was like a Bebop, McGinnis, and something else. I think the other games that I had, they had those fantastic defensive characters. I think both games might have had a McGinnis being the defensive one. And so it actually meant that she was enough to hold the line and sort of keep it from happening. Oh. And the when I would have the other lane that would have 2 people versus 1, the 2 would obviously stomp the 1 and manage to get ahead, and then they would seal the opposing creeps and things. It was a really interesting tactical thing that I saw or strategical, sorry to use the right word, because it rewards the XP change. The XP change that was made... They
reverted it a little bit, right?
They did, yes, but it's nice seeing that, because it's obviously people being reactive and inventive and giving it a go, because they're like, we're not so punished for this anymore, and we lose 6% XP, but if we can get a Guardian or a Walker early, then we're rewarded for it. And it made me wonder, like, what possible 3-man combos do you have that could make this really fantastic? And like, Bebop is a really obvious character to do this with, because you would get so many more stacks. And I think you would have considerably less risk and things with Bebop, because he'd have assistance from actual characters doing actual things rather than just putting bombs on people the best they could.
Well, they say that Bebop's one of the sort of best people for staying solo, while other people do that as well, because his bombs are pretty good at clearing. He's got ways of knocking people back. He's generally, can control the lane fairly well. But, I do also agree that, when he's with 2 other people, getting a pick off from a hook is going to be very effective as well.
I'm trying to think, who else do you think would be good for this strategy that I've only seen the 3 times, but I hope I see more of, because it was really inventive. I really enjoyed it.
So, I mean, the key part is they have to be effective early on, right? They have to be quite an effective person in that very early stage of the game, but equally have a good band of pressure on structures. I'm just having a little look at the list of things.
I feel Yamato, maybe?
Yamato, yeah, she is fairly good early game. Mina as well can do some good burst.
Do you think Mina would benefit from the stacks potentially as well? Having the ability to stack probably with less fear of getting picked.
Yeah, having more space, right?
Yeah.
The thing that you're gaining is more space. Vindicta, I think, is one of probably the best ones because obviously she doesn't lose out on souls as much once she has her ulti. That's one of the people I did see it very briefly with when I lost the lane with a Vindicta, and the Vindicta went, right, I'm pissing off to somewhere else. And she can get those stacks because her ulti gives her bonus souls on kill. So I think Vindicta probably is a must-have almost in that, just so that you negate the soul disadvantage.
Could you see a cheese developing with this meta, do you think?
I think it's one of those things where I think it's a hard cheese to pull off, right? I think we're in the stage where people aren't too bothered about thinking about that sort of tactic, and people are going to get annoyed. The randos in the world are going to get annoyed. I think it's hard to sort of corral everybody in the world to go, oh no, this is a good tactic. Maybe if you're in a group, maybe it can work out. But I think for now, yeah. Yeah, the only other person that may be good is Mo and Krill, just because of ultis as well. But all of this relies on getting, 3.5k first and then splitting off. But you're talking about from minute 0, aren't you?
They did it from minute 0. Yeah, they were just all in from the off. Again, I've only seen it work once. So the other 2 times, what ended up happening is the 2 people would obviously outfarm because they get a 6% bonus. Or is it 12% bonus? The team gets a 12% bonus, right? So if you get 100% if it's 1 person, you get, let's say 56 if it's 2. And let's say, because it's equal, so whatever 56 is 112.
I'm running back into the patch notes here. So yeah, it was... so it's 100, 185. So they lose 15% of souls across the team, obviously. So
it's completely gone back now to giving a negative for 3 people.
Yeah.
Is that for hero kills or is that for...
that is hero kill bounty.
Yeah, so
sorry, you're right.
Yeah, that was a hero kill one. So I don't actually think they fixed the passive minion creep yet.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I just read hero kill one and just thought, well, that's the troopers, right? No, trooper bounty is still.
I genuinely think this is a cheese that might happen. So in other games, there's a thing called proxying, which I haven't yet seen in Deadlock. I think it's a very difficult thing to pull off in Deadlock. I agree. I would love to give it a go. I have thought about doing it with Calico, who I think is probably the best character to maybe do proxying with.
So for those who don't know, proxying is where you go behind the lane and or behind the structures and take the minions or the troopers from behind those structures that you haven't claimed yet to gain the XP early, and then equally force your troopers to be uncontested as they go down.
And I mean, the only characters that I can think of that have famously done this are like Techies and Murky. I don't think Techies has done it in quite a long time, but maybe Techies still does it.
Oddball characters, right? Because you need to be able to either die and get value while doing it, or be able to be very slippery to get away. So Calico, arguably a potentially good option here, just because she can do that. I think you could do it. You'd have to do it behind the walkers, on the outside lanes.
And I think your limit is obviously you'd have to have Veil Walker and then or some
I don't think you even need that. I think you just need
with Calico. I don't think you would. But like if you were Haze, for example, you could do it with just your regular cloak and Cloak and Dagger? I don't know what the ability is called. Smoke and Cloak.
Yeah.
Cloak and Bake. Cheese Bake.
Smoke
I don't
bomb.
remember what it's called. Smoke Bomb. That's the one.
Doorman equally, maybe, with some
Doorman possibly. I do wonder if there is a proxying, because we're in that stage of the game now where you get cheese. The longer a game is out, the less cheese you get, because obviously the game gets solved.
Yeah.
Which is how you get, Murky winning the world championships in the first year of HOTS and things like that, because people don't understand how to beat cheese yet, because the game is brand new. So this is cheese time. And
yeah,
I've got a feeling we will see more of this 3-person thing once people start figuring out how to get the characters to work with that. I do wonder if with this new draft mode that I'm hoping comes, if we might see more. We might see more of this, because I think there's too much randomness that means that you can't necessarily do it and get away with it. I think if you do run into someone like McGuinness, you're just screwed, because she can just put the wall up. She's got turrets. She's got healing. So you really have to build this and play into this. But I could really see this cheese taking off and becoming something.
On sort of draft mode, obviously, the other day we had a game where there were no support heroes in there. And I said, God, there's no support heroes in this game. I was like, yeah, but the other teams didn't have it. I was like, yeah, but I generally felt an absence of some level of healing, control, support, I suppose, in the game. I think I was on Billy. I've been playing him a lot recently. And sort of draft is obviously going to be leading us towards these sort of more balanced compositions. Are we there yet? It's a big question to ask. I do think that we are getting towards the stage where we might be able to do it. But obviously, I think a lot of people actually do enjoy being able to go, right, I want to queue with these 3 heroes. That's me, done.
I do enjoy that as well, actually. I think it's really nice to force the characters that you want to play with your friends as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll get rid of this game mode. I think I'm more interested to see how the game evolves as a result of ranked and a draft mode, because we've both played in an amateur scene in HOT, so we've seen the sort of meta that ends up developing in private. When you have a bunch of teams that all just end up playing each other for practice, your own meta develops that is not the same as the meta that's actually being experienced by 95% of the player base.
No.
And it's very often that sometimes things that will happen in ranked end up going over to competitive play. One of the famous examples from HOTS was we had a meta that was involved entirely around 2 things. It was Zeratul, Void Prison, and it was Anubarak. And the whole point of the meta was Anubarak, for people who don't know these characters, Void Prison is essentially Kelvin Dome, but no one can go in and out of it, and everyone's in stasis, so they're stuck and locked like they are in the middle of Dorman's ult kind of thing. Yeah, you're frozen. You don't get to do anything. And Anubarak does a isolation thing, which is basically the same as Dorman's ult, except from instead of being able to jump out of it, your allies can kill the cocoon, or it just times out eventually in the same way that Dorman's ult does.
And sort of Mo and Krill.
And the way that the meta worked was people would just use these isolation abilities, wait until the end, and then they would blow someone up. And there was an entire 6 months meta about it. And it was a really interesting period of time, because it wasn't caused by competitive people taking it to ranked. It was caused by ranked people taking it to competitive, because these ranked players turned up and decided to do streaming and try and make some money, because there was a competitive league that made them money for the first time. So they all had personalities and were trying to stream on Twitch. And they were going to ranked games and get absolutely annihilated and bodied by Anubarak and Void Prison stuff. Now, I am interested to see if that happens here. I've got a feeling there are certain characters like McGuinness who have always had really good win rates in ranked, but haven't had good win rates in coordinated. If they might finally have a moment to shine, because I think sometimes sometimes you have to watch a thing and see it and go, yeah, you know what, that does work in a more coordinated competitive setting in order to give it a go. I know that pros in particular, we've known some over the years, are quite stubborn people. And once an opinion is made about a character, it takes them a long time to change that opinion. I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege, and I remember watching a lot of that game, and it took pros a long time to accept that LMGs were any good. And there were a lot of players who were going for a long time. LMGs are great, guys. Please play LMGs, or play it on Capitao or Sophia or something.
They're a noob stomper only, and then it turns out they could just stomp everyone.
And it turned out, once all the guns got nerfed, people played them and went, "Oh shit, these are fantastic. Why haven't we been playing these the whole time?" And it changed the game for a while, and people hated that meta because it was all about pre-firing and just pre-firing your LMG into a corner and then hoping that the person looked around. I'm not saying it was a good meta, but it was 100% a meta that was decided by people before, the competitive scene. I love that moment of discovery in a game, and I think that Deadlock will have quite a beautiful one when that happens. I already feel that there's quite a lot of beautiful diversity in the characters. I don't ever play a character and go, this character feels like this character, which is very rare in games. None of them feel very similar to each other. I would say like Infernus and Haze are maybe in my mind the most similar.
Yeah, obviously like the gun characters who shoot fast, generally, Haze, Infernus, and Wraith are a little similar, but they all have their own quirks. But that's just sort of what's going to happen. So I think you are right. I mean, we don't play a wide range a lot. We stick to a few heroes and we sort of change every so often, I would say, in terms of our gameplay style. I know some people out there just play whatever comes to their brain straight off the bat. But yeah, I think you're right. That there's just looking back, we talked a bit about Night Shift last time. And you talked about Billy, how he'd be top, and he absolutely is. Mirage as well has popped up. Very handy. Vindictor as well. Obviously, Shiv is still there, as is Paradox in the looking at last week.
Yeah,
Night Shift 17.
I was totally wrong about Paradox. I even said to you, I was like, I don't think Paradox is going to see any play. I think I said Vindictor was terrible because I was like, how's she going to get the soak? But it just turns out when you pair it with Abrams, you've got that meat shield that we were missing. So obviously, I need to have a friend who plays Abrams.
I mean, it's the draft sort of thing, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
There's advantages that having a draft, and equally, once again, you haven't been able to pop off with the ulti of Vindictor gives those bonus souls, so you're negating any disadvantages you might have. So yeah, it definitely is a sort of thing. Obviously, Victor's still very much left out of these sort of top tier, the draft level things. So maybe he's the secret pick that will come in eventually.
Maybe you're right, and maybe the games in Pro League just don't go on long enough to be able to utilize that. I do watch these games, and I feel like sometimes they just fight too much. And I don't know if that's the same, and I don't know if it's just because they're at the beginning of the game, or I just don't get it. But I watch these guys play, and I think every time I watch them, I'm like, you're always fighting. You're always fighting.
I agree. It feels crazy to me. And I think part of it is that movement thing, right? We talked about it a little bit earlier. Calico's cat is a great sort of a patch on that, but at the pro level, they're able to move around the map with so much ease that as soon as any little skirmish happens, the 5 people who are in the near vicinity will instantly go there, just because like if they can turn a 1v1 into a 2v1 first, even into a 3v2, into a 4v2, if they can turn it into an advantageous fight first, they can win a whole load of XP, a whole load of the map. They can get the pressure going. They can start snowballing. And I think that's it. They just move around the map so much better. And maybe this is why, we didn't talk about it earlier, but one of my least favorite bits of the patch is the 10% movement debuff when being shot. So maybe
we haven't spoken about that yet. I completely forgot. It's awful. It's so bad. It's like you become an old man with a walker, and it just feels horrible. I obviously like you used to slow down when you got shot. It's nowhere near as bad as this.
Well, you used to lose your sprint bonus when you got shot previously, and now you get slowed 10%, if I recall correctly.
Yes. I have taken enduring speed on every single character. Every single character I've played. Or Fleetfoot, or some variation, even of both. I think, it's a horrible change and I hate it, but I think it's not aimed at us. I think it is probably aimed at these better players who are able to take advantage of things.
And it may be because I'm taking enduring speed. It's one of those things that you really notice in lane, and then later on you don't notice as much, potentially because the game gets bigger a little bit, and so, when you take an engage later on, you're usually in that engage, or you're not in that engage. Whereas in the early stages, they're all skirmishes. In the lane, especially, if you get hit, 10% slow is actually quite a lot. Even though you're not moving very far, it's going to be enough for the enemy to catch up. So I think either they should put it down to 5%, Make that enough. Or yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel good in lane. It really doesn't. And maybe that's just me not learning it yet. Maybe you just need to be safer. Maybe I just need to play safer. I'm too aggro.
I'm starting to play lanes a little bit differently. I am playing very aggro at the moment, just in general. I think that is part of the character pool that I'm playing as well. But I think as well, one of the other things that I'm paying more attention to is the regen changes. So a lot of characters had their regen nerfed. I gave Geist a little go yesterday, who I think is down to 1. I gave Paradox a go. She's down to 1. And I've noticed that trading feels so much worse with a lot of the out of combat regen items.
Yeah.
It turns out now it's not worth doing such and such damage because you're actually damaging yourself. Because you're no longer healing for that amount, right? You're healing for, I don't know, like you would have healed for 100 or 50 or however long the little skirmish is, and then you only damaged for 50. So yeah, it's quite a noticeable diffence to me.
And I've noticed it when I've taken any regen items, extra regen or bullet resist armor, or whatever it's called, battle armor. You know, when I've had these sort of extra +3 regen, I've gone, I'm only at 100 HP. So I go around, do some boxes while the wave go about, pick up the healing minion at the end once they crash into my thing, and then I'm back up to like 500 HP, and I'm like, oh, this is great. You know, I'm actually doing okay because I've bought regen items. I've not had to sort of commit to anything sort of major. I've not had to go back to base, just been going around getting boxes, and it's really helped my soul economy, actually, just generally.
I'm finding, as a result of all these item changes, I'm starting to feel that the item diversity between characters is disappearing just a little bit. I think that's one of my biggest issues with the patch, of which I've been very vocal about many, because I am a grumpy old man. But I'm trying to think of, like, I see most characters take enduring speed. I see some characters, I would say over 50%, take fleet foot. I see a considerable amount of characters take rusted barrel or spirit sap. I
think these, but these are all sort of characters of the same ilk, not taking those things, though, right? Like spirit sap, a lot of, you know, ambush characters are going to take spirit sap. Fleetfoot, a lot of gun characters are going to take fleetfoot. These are all sort of things that I guess, you know, it's going to be taken. I think especially because these sort of mid-tier items really help get you to that 4.2 or whatever, the 4.8 mark, because you take one 3.2 weapon thing and one 1.6k item, and then you're at that 4.8k mark, and like, great, I've got the bonuses. So I think that's potentially why, a little bit of those sorts of things, just making sure that the souls add up.
I mean, I'm seeing spirit sap on characters that I don't necessarily think are those kind of pick characters. I've seen it a bit on Paige, which I found odd when I first saw it, but I've actually seen it, I would say, half a dozen times now on a Page. I've seen it quite a bit on Mo and Krill, but maybe that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that, you know, it's just an extra debuff, right?
Well, I look at it this way, right? Compare it to sort of Spirit Strike. Spirit Strike takes away 6%, and does like a bit of extra damage. Spirit Sap is ranged as well. It's quite a big range too. 40 meters is massive. It lasts a very long time. It does it does two things. It lowers the defense of an opponent and also their lethality.
Yeah.
It just feels very strong right now, which is why I think I'm seeing it so often. I think this is probably the item of the patch, potentially. I
mean, it's gone through a lot of changes in this since November the 21st, when this last major patch came out, I suppose. It's gone through, you know, being part of Focus Lens, having its cooldown nerfed. I think it does do a lot of things. I think you are right. I don't feel like it's a problem item yet. I think it was when it was part of Silence Wave, but now it's part of Focus Lens. It feels okay.
But what is a problem item to you? Do you have like items in your head that are? It's okay if every character has them. Like I think I'm okay if 90% of the characters have some sort of stamina item. I think thankfully to the way that characters are designed, not like Ivy and Viper are never going to have stamina items probably. I think it's just kind of a bit pointless on those particular characters. Maybe pointless on Holiday, although I see a lot of Holidays take some sort of stamina items, so it's probably not true. But those are the immediate ones who stand out to me that I go like, yeah, you probably don't need some sort of stamina item. But otherwise, I'm okay with that being an item that everyone takes. I'm okay with everyone having extra regen or healing right or I mean, are those it? Are those all the ones? Restorative shot to some degree, or mystic regeneration. I don't mind extra charge because obviously every character that has extra charge is designed around having extra charge. But there's something about me that doesn't like I would think it's a problem if every character in the game has a rebuttal. I think there's a problem if every character. Sorry, go on.
No, you and I have talked about Rebuttal. It was in my head as well. Rebuttal is obviously a powerful item, but it's locked at 800 souls and it doesn't build into anything. And you sort of feel like that's a bit of a dead end in the past. You sort of said, oh, this, why is this a dead end one? I was like, well, there's now equally a certain power locked in to an 800 soul item. You can only get buffs up to that amount. It's taking up a whole slot. It is still a powerful one. I think the fact that it doesn't upgrade means that you have to have a choice to sell it later on if you want a more powerful item, which I think is a good thing. So I personally like that Rebuttal is a dead end item. Do you still feel that way or the opposite?
I mean, we did briefly in this conversation mention Rebuttal building into something that works like Counterspell.
That was a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. I think... I don't know. I personally, one of my biggest gripes of the item list in this game is the fact that things don't build into things. I really despise that design choice. And there's not many design choices in this game that I really don't like. But it feels so bad when the way that the game is designed is a 1600 item is better than a 6400 item. And it happens a lot.
I guess 6,400 items should feel very good, but I think it almost feels like I guess sometimes if you were to call them like common, uncommon, rare, and legendary items, I guess legendary items should always do something interesting, but not necessarily be better, I guess is always the thing. Whereas, common and uncommon items are generally sort of just stat things, bog standard. Your rare items are going to be that mix of the two where they're maybe a slightly powerful effect, but not so powerful that they aren't a legendary item, I guess is what I'd call it.
And you're assigning those to the costs rather than to individual items, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing here.
I mean, I think that's quite a good way of doing it, to be honest. I'm just having a look at all the items now. Yeah. I think one of the other issues I have with items is I love the design of Leech, right? I think it's fantastic. I love that it has 2 build items into it. I enjoy this kind of design space because it means that I can get a weaker version of this 6,400 item, and I just need 2 bits, and then I get rewarded again if I spend the extra 3,200. I think that's great. The fact that it's the only one that does that annoys me, right? There easily could be a restorative shot, mystic shot item that is a 6,400 item. Easily, right? I think that would fit, and I think that's good, and I think you should do that, Valve, please. I think it's such a lovely thing to do. I think again, you could also do something with like slowing bullets, and maybe even close quarter could be quite nice, and have an item that those build into. I think close quarters is for me actually an underrated item. I think this is a great item that should build into quite a few things, because I think you should be rewarded for having this openness. And I think also as well, one of the nice things about buying an item like this is I think if you built a good tree around it,
close quarters builds into point blank.
No, but I think also it could build into other things, not just that. But
okay.
Like one of the problems that I have with the way that items work at the moment is opponents immediately know what you're doing. And the advantage of having items that build into items later is there's still a little bit of knowledge gap. And so if you're better at the game and you're better at assessing things, you might be able to sniff out what they're doing. In terms of that happening right now, I don't think there's necessarily any items that you get rewarded for that. I'm trying to have a little look. Not really, no.
Get rewarded for doing what? Sorry?
Like having an item that forks into two different items, so someone thinks you're doing something else. Because I think the only item that builds into two different tier items is extended magazine.
Also spirit
high velocity
lifesteal.
rounds as well. Spirit lifesteal. Yes,
Built
spirit
into
lifesteal
as well.
Oh, and healing right builds into a couple things, and obviously extra stamina does.
It's
So there is a few items actually that sprint
I do agree
boots
there could be more.
And I think that would be quite. I think that would be a lovely thing to have. I think that would be quite nice.
Do you think we're going to get any more items in the future?
We have to. The game cannot come out, and this is the item list. That is my hot take of Deadlock. The items feel currently unfinished. There are items that I think are really cool, and I think they're so fun. And like Magic Carpet, love the idea. I think that's fantastic. I think Ethereal Shift is brilliant. I think Arctic Blast is a great little item that really rewards certain types of characters. Like I love Mystic Reverb and things like that. Mm-hmm. Then I look at the other colors. I think purple is one of the better ones for this. I find that the purple items in general are more rewarding. I think there's very few items in purple that I'm like, I don't think this has a place.
So yeah, we've been talking for an hour and a bit now. Give me your least favorite item, your most met item, and your favorite item.
Okay,
and that's what we'll do.
I personally hate bullet resist shredder. I just think it's very lackluster. My met item, restorative locket, maybe. I think the concept's really cool.
That's a good call. Yeah,
I think it's undertuned. I'm not really sure what's wrong with it, but it doesn't fit the idea that I think it
was used to be picked on Mina when she first came out.
And I occasionally see it on a Dynamo, and then that's it. Those are the only two people that I see it on. And then sort of you want my best design item?
No, your favorite. It doesn't have to be best designed. It can just be your favorite.
I really get to pick it, but I really love Witchmail. I love items like this. I think they're fantastic.
I think Witchmail does suffer from it's in that 6.4K tier, but it's not flashy. It doesn't feel like it's hard to notice its impact, right? I think that's one of the big things with it. Like you can go, I got loads of cooldowns. Why was that? Witchmail proc loads of times. But like you're not getting an instant shield from Diviner's Kevlar. You're not getting unstoppable. You're not refreshing. It's one of those things. And I think that's where it falls flat, sadly.
What are yours?
Oh, this is tough. So my least favorite item, I think it's probably, I'm not sure if it's just because I don't like playing against it. Capacitor I don't like, but that was the old capacitor. I'm not sure if I'm thinking of the new capacitor.
I also don't like capacitor. So I agree with that. Yeah.
Your most meta item of Restorative Locket was very, very good. I'm just having a quick look.
I have a second one for meh as well.
I also feel like I've been a big shouter of disarming hex in the past, and you were like, it doesn't do well, and I'm like, yeah, but that's because every time you pick it, you're picking it because you're losing, so you're probably likely to lose anyway. But I equally think it's probably a meh one. I think it's not super strong.
4 seconds is too short. This is the problem that I have with the item, is because all it does is stop someone shooting for 4 seconds. You can still use abilities. Most characters have decent abilities because that's the point of the game. It's just a terrible item. I honestly think it's just awful, and I think the design is really bad. It's my main issue. And
a lot of the time as well, the conditional effect on it is minus bullet resist. 9 times out of 10, if you're picking this, you're not a gun character. You're like that does nothing for most of the time, I feel. So that's my most meh item. And then my most favorite item. Oh, this is tough because I rarely get to spend on a 6.4K item, it feels like. Which is silly of me. You know what? Transcendent cooldown. It's you pick up the items, you get the cooldown reduction on them. It feels good, man. Feels good.
Yeah,
it's not fun. But it's good.
The problem I have with Transcendent cooldown is I think this is too. I don't want to say good. Is ubiquitous the word I mean?
Yeah, just sort of generally it does stuff. So you can't do much about it.
This item every character can take. And it's still good if every character takes it, which is my biggest problem with it. I love it though. I think it's one of my favorite items. It is weird how we both picked cooldown items. You know, we enjoy playing more of the game than our opponents, I think.
It's true.
It's just like, hey, I'm playing more game than you. You don't get to play. Which ironically is what both of us don't like about Capacitor, which is you stop me from playing my game. I don't get to do the bit that I want to do.
I think it's an important design decision, you know, make sure people can play the game. Yeah. Well, I mean, there we go. If anyone's got any other favorite items they've made at the end of the podcast, let us know in the comments on YouTube, or if you're on Spotify, you can tweet us on Twitter, comment on Instagram. I think we're on TikTok as well with some of our shorts. Wow, I'm putting us everywhere, Connor.
I'm excited about that. I would actually really like to know how people feel about the items. I think that is the topic of conversation I am most interested by, because that's what defines the game, I think. You know, this is how they've decided to do their MOBAs rather than talents.
We had someone comment they wanted to hear us complain about Grey Talon, but I think we'll have to save that for next time.
I don't have many complaints about him, to be honest.
Now that the XP changed, I've not seen him in a while. I've not seen him this new patch. Maybe we should give him a go. Maybe we'll give Grey Talon a go.
Do you know what? I'll give him a go, and I'll complain about how bad I am with him on the next occasion.
Well,
thank you very much, everyone.
We'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Bye.